This story is about the time that my soccer team's airplane crashed into the Andes. I have 3 kids. They're not kids anymore. They're full-blown adults. They're 25, 23, and 21. But when they were little kids, I took pride in answering their questions as directly and frankly as I could. My youngest son, Thomas, has this hunger for knowledge. And he was kept out of the gifted and talented classes because his questions would hold the class back. They go wide, they don't go deep. So he stayed with the regular guys. But for all of Tom's, deep desire to know so much, he managed to miss some pretty obvious things. Now, like I said, I tried to be very frank and open and liberal about how to answer my kids' questions about pretty much anything. So when I found out my daughter started having sex, I regretted that. I should have told her things like, when a boy has sex, stuff comes out of his wang. And sometimes it's spiders. So Thomas was the youngest, and he managed to just not absorb all the sex stuff that his older siblings knew. For the longest time, he thought that you could get arrested for talking about sex for some reason, which I don't understand. And my daughter, had seen the Colonel Angus sketch that you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So we were in the DC metro station for Shady Grove, and she's looking at the sign. She goes, "Shady Thickets," and we're like, ha 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 ha, right? Because you guys know the Colonel Angus sketch, right? Right, okay. Colonel Angus is coming to town. It's been a long time since I've had Colonel Angus around. You right? So he visits a plantation called Shady Thickets. So we're at Shady Grove, and it's like Shady Thickets. And Tom's like, why is that funny? Why? I'm dying to know why that's funny. And I'm like, he's, I don't know, maybe 10 or something. We can probably work this one out. I go, well, you know what oral sex is, right? And he's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, well, this is oral sex for the girls. And he's like, oh, so when you bend her over. And I'm like, no. No. He's like, oh, I know, this is in the butt. I'm like, this conversation, this is not the time or the place, because clearly you're off the charts on this one. He thought that an oral exam is another kind of exam, that oral sex was just some other kind of sex. And I'm not going to have him keep pulling his guesses out of a hat on this, right? So Thomas's hunger for, see, I'm making it relevant, right? So relevant. Thomas's hunger for knowledge. And it spans every subject. But so one day he was looking for matches because he wanted to set some alcohol on fire in his hand to show his friend. Healthy young man activity, right? So I'm in the bathroom drying my hair, and Thomas busts in and starts pumping soap into his hand.
And I turn off the hair dryer and I just look at him and I'm like, what did you just touch? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, me? You're 13. You don't burst into some frenzy of cleanliness all of a sudden. What are you, like a surgeon? What the hell? So he's like, no, I can't tell you. I'm like, what did you touch? And he's making it interesting for me. I'm like, what the hell did you touch? And he can't tell me. He's like, finally, he's like, I can't tell you, but I will show you. So he takes me into my daughter's bedroom, where he imagines that he will find matches to light this alcohol on fire. Because sometimes she burns incense in there, which, is a cover-up. I'm wise. And so he opens the nightstand drawer, and things are promising because there's a cigar holder in there. Which means there's something to set on fire, right? So Thomas, and obviously I wasn't there. I imagine in slow motion, because Jeremy was the one that let him out. His friend for whom he was going to show off this fire thing. Tom reaching slowly for the cigar holder. Jeremy going, don't touch that. Don't touch that, Thomas. Don't touch that. Tom picking it up, unscrewing it to see if there's like a lighter inside. And then